and also your host this afternoon on the Great Give Radiothon. And for this segment, I'm here with Brooks Toom of the Sunshine Kids, sunshinekids.org. Welcome, Brooks Toom.
Thank you. So great to be here. Actually pronounced Tom, though it looks like Toom. Common mistake. It is. Just think of it as rhyming with B-O-M-B. Bomb.
Tom, T-O-M.
Yeah, exactly.
So Brooks Tom is on, and he's wearing a white hat with a little sunshine logo. And you're going to tell me about that hat and tell me about the organization, which is activities of all kinds for kids with cancer.
That's right. We were founded in 1982, Paul. Thanks, first of all, for letting me be here today. It's great to be here and to be part of the Great Give, which is an amazing thing that's going on. It's really neat. You're Alan. There's Paul. I see Alan.
I'm Alan. Say, does Paul? Do you want to take the microphone, so to speak?
Sure. Thank you, Alan, for your hosting the Great Give.
My pleasure. And Brooks, Tom, pleasure meeting you.
You too, Alan.
All right.
So now we've been introduced by Alan Appel. I want to introduce our listeners to the website where they can help Brooks Tom as he tells us about all the reasons they're up to good work that could use your help. We're in the last hour, folks, of the Great Give Radiothon, and there's 6 more hours left of the Great Give, in which New Haven comes together to support 390 great nonprofits who are always come through day in and day out to help people who need it in New Haven and need it more than ever in the pandemic. The way you go is you go to thegreatgive.org. We're up to 2.7 million. Man, we got to get to that 3 million. 2.7 million raised so far for 391 organizations. In this half hour, we're going to ask you to look up the Sunshine Kids Foundation. We'd love it if you also want to throw some love the way the New Haven Independent, Valley Independent Sentinel, WNHH-FM, 390 other groups. In this half hour, we're going to talk about Sunshine Kids with Brooks. So, Brooks, you were starting to tell us, first of all, do you have a song or a poem that you'd like to perform?
I wrote a poem for this thing.
All right.
I took the assignment very seriously. So
thank you.
I'm not sure how good it is. It's not exactly Walt Whitman, you know?
I don't know. Walt Whitman might have been overrated.
Yeah, that's a discussion for another day for sure. All right, here's my poem for the Great Give. Things seem bad, you know what I mean? Everything's crazy because of COVID-19. But kids are still sick and in need of care, and isn't it great that help is still there? All these charities working together, we're all doing good like birds of a feather. So people can thrive, so people can live, we're all teaming up by way of the Great Give. There's lots to be scared of, plenty to fear, but with everyone's help, we'll get through this year. Thanks to the work of great organizations, we'll find a way through the pain and frustration. We help kids with cancer in pain and alone. We provide trips and fun, now online and by phone. They get a nice break. We help them feel fine, escape from their treatment. We bring the sunshine. Thanks to the Great Give, cancer patients get to do lots of fun activities, and for that, we thank you.
All right, Brooks Tom from the Sunshine Kids Foundation on the Great Give, WNHH 103.5 live stream NewHaven.org. I love how that poem both talked about the work you do and how you're part of a community. You're not saying help kids with cancer, but don't help people get in rehab at Gaylord. You're not saying don't help the food bank. We're saying there's enough to go around here. There's a lot. You're going to hit 3 million. And the Sunshine Kids, how long you folks been around, Brooks?
We were founded in 1982 by a volunteer who was at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston. And she was with a boy late at night who was from South Texas. And she asked him if he could do anything, what would he want to do? And he said he wanted to see the snow. So she arranged a ski trip for this boy. And at that time in the 80s, we used to bring a kid plus one parent on a trip. And they started doing an annual trip to Aspen every year. And that went on for a couple of years. And then a man named G.W. Bailey, an actor who was famous for being in all the Police Academy movies and MASH and some other stuff, and more recently The Closer and Major Crimes, became involved. And he said, well, I want to take this trip to LA. His goddaughter had been a kid with cancer. She unfortunately passed away, but she had introduced him to the Sunshine Kids. And so he expanded our work to start doing trips to LA. And as we grew, we found that the kids, when they're without their parents, something different happens. They connect with each other. And so what we do now, primarily, at least before the virus hit, was take about 28 kids, 4 kids per hospital. We work with over 70 hospitals in the US and Canada.
Wow.
So 4 kids and a nurse or doctor or social worker will come with that group of 4 kids. And we have 7 of those groups at a time. So 28 kids, 7 nurses, go to now upwards of 10 locations around the country for a week at a time. So it's LA still, we still do Colorado. Now we're at Vail. We do New York City, which is a trip that we manage out of our Hartford office here, Washington, DC, Orlando, of course. You got to do Disney World and Universal and all that stuff. We do New Orleans. We have a great relationship there. Atlanta, Chicago, Texas Hill Country, on and on. And this is our main expense. But we also do a lot of regional activities. We have our national office in Houston. We have an office here in Hartford, which covers the Eastern region, which are hospitals that you've heard of, like Dana-Farber and Sloan Kettering and Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, as well as smaller ones, Montefiore in the Bronx. And of course, Yale New Haven Children's Hospital is a big, long-time partner of ours, Connecticut Children's Medical Center in Hartford. So we take kids on smaller trips. We'll do a 3-day trip to Boston or New York, or we went skiing in the Berkshires before all this hit. And then we do simple local events, like taking a family out to see Disney on Ice or to the Yard Goods or amusement park, go to Quasi or Lake Compounds. So we do a wide range of activities, from 1-day local events where kids of any age can come, to 3-day trips, to week-long trips. And
A
since
big week-long trip, do all 28 go together to multiple locations, or do 4
they'll
go
go
to
on
different locations?
Good question. When we do a 28-kid trip, that's one group that's in a city for a week. So we do every touristy thing there is to do in that city. In our New York trip, we're in Times Square, the West in Times Square, and we do Broadway shows. We see at least 2 Broadway shows and 1 off-Broadway. We usually go to Blue Man, Lion King, and then 1 other, Wicked, we usually do. And then other fun stuff like a yacht cruise around the island. We go down to.
So that's 28 kids go to that one city, and then do you have?
Correct.
So it's more than 28 kids a year.
Right, we're doing 10 of those trips a year, and these kids come from all
Get
over.
80 kids.
And then so those kids that's one and done for them for that trip, unless they're doing local events with us. So for instance, I had 4 kids from Yale New Haven go to New York last year on that trip. And
these are kids how old, Brooks? The kids who have cancer, are they terminal?
They're not. We just say cancer. So they're in all different stages. The thing about cancer is, with most of these kids, the average amount of treatment time is 1,000 days.
Wow.
So if you get leukemia, ALL, very common, your prognosis is good, but you're going to be in treatment for years. And there are devastating effects of that treatment, physical and emotional. Most of these kids are out of school. And of course, with the other cancers, there's a good chance you may lose a limb. You're losing your hair, of course. We all know that happens as a side effect of chemo. But what we focus on is the fact that these kids are isolated, and nobody really gets what they're going through unless it's another kid who's going through the same thing. So their family and their friends gather around them. They celebrate they're with them for a while. But when you're in treatment for 2-3 years, it's a long haul. And so to be able to connect with kids that are going through the same thing, even if it's on a 1 evening event, or obviously on a 7-day event, there's a deeper connection that forms. But this thing happens on our 2- and 3-day trips as well as our long trips. They're
38 years you've been doing it. Have there been a lot of friendships that form lifelong? Do you hear back? Do they get involved later on?
Our director in our LA office is a former Sunshine Kid. She went to Colorado in the 80s when she was 10. She met a boy on that trip who was her maid of honor. he's a guy, but at her wedding. So she has kept that friendship for 35 years. So that's an example of how deep these bonds go.
And how did you get involved?
That's a good question.
Tom,
I was working in the film business with our executive director. He is retired now, but he was an actor on The Closer, and I was a gaffer. You might have seen that in the credits. You may even know what a gaffer is. There's a gaffer and
I look it up and then I forget because it's such a great name to be a gaffer. What does a gaffer do?
The gaffer is the chief lighting technician. So I was working with the director of photography to light this TV show. So I became friends with GW Bailey, and he said, "Hey, we're bringing a bunch of kids with cancer to the set. Will you show them around on a Saturday and show them what you do?" I said, "Sure, that'll be fine." He said, "Oh, by the way, there was a policeman, a detective on the show who was a consultant for the police procedural stuff." He said, Mike Bertram, Detective Mike Bertram, is going to bring a police car so the kids can sit in it and turn the lights on." Great. And Mike says, "Yeah, I'll take care of it." So the day the kids come to the set, they come out of the hotel at the Universal Sheraton. And there were 35 kids on that trip, actually. We had more back then. And Mike had arranged for 35 police cars to pick up the kids.
35 police cars.
One for each kid. And a full motorcade. Motorcycles, lights, sirens, code 3, the whole shebang through Hollywood down to the studio, which was across from Paramount, right in Hollywood, Raleigh Studios. So that was my first exposure to Sunshine Kids, was seeing these kids come in these cars, sirens and lights blaring, and the smiles on their faces. I had to take a walk, Paul, and sort of compose myself. It was so overwhelming. And I said to GW, I want to get involved. And he said, "Great, we're opening an office in LA. I want you to be in charge." I said, that's a bad idea. I'm a gaffer. I don't know anything about that. He said, "Doesn't matter. You have the passion for it. I'll teach you the rest." And so that was for me, 2006. We came to Hartford in 2009.
Why Hartford?
Yeah, it's centrally located. We have a lot of kids in New York and Boston and Connecticut. We've had a relationship with CCMC and Yale New Haven Children's for a long time. So those hospitals are central to what we do. It's also our base of support is Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, which was then Prudential. But there's a huge support base in New England Properties, BHHS, New England, and New Jersey, as well as Boston. So from here, we can get to anywhere. We can get to Boston, New York, New Jersey, and there's a lot of kids here as well. So it just made sense for us as.
So you've been a Connecticut person now for a little over a decade. Do you miss gaffing? Do you miss Hollywood?
Sometimes I do. I miss the fun of the set, but I'll tell you what, the hours were crazy. Those are long days in that business.
And now I wonder, because the lighting, you did a good job of lighting here. Zoom lighting is not an easy task. You have the light coming from the side. A lot of people have, so it looks really good when you're on, because if you have it behind you, obviously it looks terrible. You look like a ghost. Did you do that consciously, or is that just like a gaffer's memory?
As they say, it fell off the truck that way. It worked out. You're also lit well. Do you have a little a key light up there?
What I do is I deliberately move it away from the window to my side, and I have the window facing me to put light on it.
Yeah.
So it's natural light. It's a little cloudy today, but I'm not a gaffer quality. But I do know about that. And what I also know is that you're listening to the Great Give Radiothon on WNHH-FM, your home for community radio at 103.5 FM, live streamed at newhavenindependent.org. And it's an interesting affair. Brooks Tom went from being a gaffer in Hollywood to more than a decade now here in our state. Bring a little joy to kids with cancer who are feeling isolated and have trips that they'll never forget, and sometimes form friendships for a lifetime. You can help Sunshine Kids, Brooks's organization, by going to thegreatgive.org. Don't forget thegreatgive.org. You go there, you find Sunshine Kids. If you're watching us on Facebook, Harry Jones is showing you the deal. It's not that hard. And we're all coming together to help the great nonprofits in our community. We got 5 hours and 45 minutes left to do it. And Brooks, before I let you go, I want to ask you about COVID-19. First of all, are you healthy? Are you doing okay with it?
Thank you for asking, Paul. I am. I've been fortunate. And it has changed our organization. Obviously, we can't do outside group activities. So we have started to use Zoom. as a lot of people have, as you are, and we are bringing kids together online. And it's been so great that we think we'll probably keep doing it in some form after this is over, because these kids are still immunocompromised. So some of them can't do things, especially if they're readmitted, if they relapse. And
So
this
what
is a great
feels
way-
special to them on Zoom? And it's great you're rolling with that. And yes, they're the last kids you want to have out getting COVID.
Right.
What makes it special on Zoom? How do you roll with that?
I think being able to see each other, what we've been doing, Paul, is a lot of arts and crafts stuff. Yesterday, we had a sing-along thing with a woman, and the kids made their own maracas.
You sing along on Zoom because you got that delay. How do you get them all at the right time?
You know, it probably didn't sound, it's probably not broadcast quality, as you would say. But, and it was funny because she chose contemporary, like pop songs. It wasn't little kids stuff. She wanted to teach them how to do maracas with stuff they hear on the radio. So it was pretty cool. We've, because of our connection to Hollywood, we've also had some celebrity guests. In fact, Jack Black did a thing for us recently.
Oh, that must have been fun. What did he do?
Oh, he was great.
I love that guy.
Running through his house, you know, with his big beard. And then he jumped in his pool, and I guess his phone's waterproof, but it was a lovely just message of support. But we're friends with some other folks who've done some meet and greets with some kids online.
It's like him in that rock movie when he jumped into the crowd when he was doing when he was playing the guy in the rock band.
Oh yeah, School of Rock. Actually,
he likes jumping into stuff
on Broadway too. A great show. Well, I think it closed, but it was a great show. He's been actually. This is a weird side note. A Sunshine Kid, who was our national spokes kid, was in the movie School of Rock. He was the little kid with glasses, Zach Infante, who's currently a Broadway actor. He is our connection to Jack Black. That's how we got hooked up with Jack Black, which is really neat.
You know, it's interesting, Brooks. A lot of people have talked during this period of COVID-19 when we're forced to do more virtually. And then there are ways that virtual can never replace in person, like the kids who can make it when they're not at risk of COVID-19 to go to Broadway, go to Aspen Ski. But also all these groups are finding out stuff you can do online that you can't do. Like you just talked about people who can't go places and how they can connect. So a lot of people are thinking about what's going to change, what's going to go back to normal if that's possible, but what's going to be a new normal.
Right.
With the Sunshine Kids coming out of this period, whenever that happens, and it's great you're keeping it going during the COVID-19 pandemic, what's going to be different if we do get past the pandemic?
Different is obviously our protocols. We certainly have kids on trips whose white blood cell counts are low and have been masking for many years. We've been seeing that. I think we're going to see almost 100% of that. Any transportation that we use, we may have to do smaller vehicles and disinfect them and wipe them down before we go anywhere. A lot of what we do is theatrical and sporting events. So no one knows how those are going to look.
Yeah.
And amusement parks, you know, Disney, of course, and Universal and all those places want to open. So there's going to be a different kind of experience there where we're social distancing in line and only a certain number of people can go on rides, et cetera. So that'll be interesting. I'm thinking too, that we may do more outdoorsy stuff, which we've done in the past, camping, hiking, things like that in national parks where we don't have to worry about crowds. That could be a part of what we do in the future.
Brooks, it seems like you really love what you do. Am I wrong? I feel like I'm talking to someone who feels he's doing something every day that isn't just a job, but it really makes a difference.
It is a great gift. I've been given the privilege of working with these kids. They're amazing to be around, as you might imagine. The way teenagers...
You might have a special appreciation for living life now.
No question. And their attitudes are different than, not everyone, it's hard to generalize about every kid, but there's a certain, I think you're right, a presence of being present in their lives that these kids have, which is amazing to be around. And it's an enormous privilege to be able to do it. Plus, our job, Paul, is to think of what's the most fun thing to do. That's it, you know, so it's really a great, great job. And
is there a day, can you tell me about a day you'll never forget? I know there's not just one, but tell me.
Yeah,
one.
the police one was great. And that police
that was a great story.
Has turned into a even bigger thing where there's a red carpet ceremony and they're deputized by the chief of police and a helicopter flies in, all that stuff. That's wonderful. As far as East Coast goes, we actually have a great relationship with the NYPD now. And to see these guys, and it's funny to hear them talk about it. The cops say to me, they'll take me aside and say, you know, we see so much horrible stuff in our job.
Mm.
They consider it a privilege to spend a morning or afternoon with these kids. They thank us. And to have a hardened New York City Police Department guy well up and tell you, and thank you for bringing these, you know, bunch of kids to see him is an amazing thing. And that happened last year.
Well, it's been a privilege to spend this segment of the Great Give Radiothon with you, Brooks Tom. Sounds like you're doing great work in our regional office of Sunshine Kids. And if you were as inspired as I was hearing what he's up to, you can help them keep it going as they do it in the new era of COVID-19 and beyond. What you got to do is you go to The Great Give. Don't forget The Great Give. Harry Joseph, station manager, is telling you how. Well, check out those dollars piling up. 2.8 million. I feel we're going to get to 3 million, Harry.
You're going to hit that 3. It's coming.
Let's come in, and we're up to 391 organizations. And let's do it this half hour for Sunshine Kids. Keep those trips coming. Keep making a difference in the lives of kids who have cancer. And so you do it right there at thegreatgive.com. Sunshine Kids. Brooks Tom, thanks for coming on the show, making the time. Keep up the good work. Keep making dreams come true. Harry Droz, the station manager, WNHH, is going to play some music for you. We'll be back on the rebound at the half hour for the next segment of the Great Give Radiothon. WNHH FM, your home for community radio, 103.5, live streamed at newhavenindependent.org.